What's up, Dragon Nation? I'm Rich with Dragon Nation Gaming. Welcome back to Space Engineers. Last episode, we built ourselves a temporary base just until we could get the main base started. Now, with the main base, what I want to do is I want to build with a little bit of protection. What we're going to do is we're going to build underground inside of an asteroid. But first, I need to dig a hole. I need to find a way of automating that to make it a little bit easier, which comes to our first complicated design. Let's go ahead, get this started. Alright, just making sure that I have all the resources I'm going to need in order to get this started. We should be good, I think. Anyways, so anybody who's been watching my channel for a while would know the inchworm. It's a little contraption that I built, well, it's a pretty big contraption that I built to dig into the side of the mountain and make a tunnel. The difference between that design and the one we have to do today is I need one that's a little bit more compact. It has to fit in a smaller area. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of redesign on it. I already started this arm right here so that way I could try to find the center. And I think we have it. I think it's good. So this is going to be used in merge blocks, connectors, pistons, rotors, drills, welders, a projector. We're going to need refinery, assemblers. It's going to be a lot of stuff. And we also have to figure out all the spacing, the timing for the timers, and it's going to be a complicated design. I'm going to try to do it in one episode, but we'll see how that works out. So the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out we're going to have our main line which will go all the way through the asteroid. This tunnel is going to go in this side and out the other. Now I went ahead and dug a little bit on my own just to figure out the area that this thing is going to be, and this is how big the tunnel is going to be, but a lot deeper. So let's go ahead and see if I can figure this out. I think what I need, which way do I need to face it? I think I need to face it that way. So we're going to start with the merge block, and then we got to go to a connector, and I'll show the reason why here pretty soon. So I think a connector here. Oh, no, wrong way. Turn you like that. Now, with the connectors, the thing is I can't snap a connector on that side. So what I have to do is I have to rotate it so it goes this way. Now this line is just for connection ability. It's not meant to pass any components or anything like that. It's just so that way I have a place to lock the whole system. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, we'll just do the same thing. So merge block, connector, then an armor block. I think. It's going to take a little while. We have to give it a shot and see if we can't figure this out. But there is the start. So what I need to do now is I need to go ahead and get this all welded up. I should have most of the components that I need. Or at least I think. Alright, now that we have... Oh, I'm going to need more steel. Yeah, more steel plate and large steel tube. Alright, steel plate. And large steel tube. There we go. And we're full once again. Alright, merge block. Connector. And armor block. Alright, so now we need to start the actual contraption itself, but there's a few things that I need to be careful of. One, in the back we are going to need a merge block because this is going to use a welder to automate the building of this line going through the entire asteroid so we can actually move the contraption all the way through. The reason it has to be a merge block is because of the projection that we're going to be welding up. So can I place you like that? Yes, I can. So I think I want to come up just one more so that way we can fit a connector and conveyors to get components to the welder, which is going to be over here. So I need conveyor junction there. And now the next thing I need is a piston. And then after the piston, we can do another conveyor junction, but I need to figure out the spacing for that piston, because if you take a look, if we build a block down, you'll notice how it doesn't, if you look at the bottom of it, it doesn't align with that merge block that's at the bottom. So I can't retract the piston anymore, so we're going to have to go one more block out. So what I'm going to do to try to get that spacing, can I not put you in there? To try to get that spacing, I'm going to go ahead and put a block here. And then we need to go ahead and build that piston, and then I can extend it to get the minimum length, or whatever it's called. Hold on, I needed more steel plate. Yeah, we're gonna use up a lot of resources to get this built, especially when we get to the drills. So it's just my OCD making sure that I get everything built. Alright, let's go ahead and, yeah, the minimum distance is what we're trying to figure out now. Which I do believe is 2.3. Now it's gonna show, yeah, right there. It's gonna show 2.4 as the distance that we're at now. But if I try to retract it a little bit, the distance is set to like 2.34. So it's going to show up as 2.4 because it rounds up. So the minimum distance I'm going to set at 2.3. And then reverse it, make sure we get to that 2.3, and I think we're good. So now what I need to do is get rid of those blocks. Conveyor junction, so that way we can get conveyor access to that connector, or not to the connector, but the welder that's going on the end. And then I need to be able to fit a connector underneath this block, but as you can see, it won't fit. So what I gotta do is I have to extend this so I can put it into place. So reverse. And there we go. Now I can actually fit it in. But because of the collision, it actually stopped the piston. So what I need to do is I need to add just a little bit more power to that piston. The max impulse and the non-access and the access impulse. Let's try right there. There it goes. Now we need to go ahead and reverse it. Alright, now we can go ahead and weld all that up. So connector, conveyor junction, that merge block and this merge block I need to get. So construction, large steel tube. Yep. Alright, so the conveyor and the merge block. So the merge block doesn't require power in order to merge, but it's not going to matter. Now, there is a reason why I couldn't do a merge block on this end, but what I have to do is I have to build something real quick so I can show why. Let me go ahead and get that done real quick. Alright, so let's see if we can actually show this correctly. So with the merge blocks and the connectors, each one has kind of a magnetic pull to one another. So merge blocks to merge blocks and connectors to connectors. Now the issue with that is the pull is strong enough to pull this piston apart. Let's go ahead and extend the piston and I'll show you if it actually does it. Now watch the piston head as these merge blocks try to connect. And there you go. So it breaks the piston. So what we need is we need a way of connecting the end of the piston to the bottom row. We can't use a merge block, unfortunately. I would like to use it, but we can't. Now, the difference between the connector and the merge block, if we go into the control panel, find ourselves a merge block, and go down to the bottom, we cannot change the magnetic pull at all. But with a connector, if we go all the way down to the bottom, it's right here. We can actually change that strength so it doesn't pull, and it doesn't pull that piston apart. Now, another thing I could also use is I could use a rotor with a detachable rotor head. But the thing is I don't really trust rotors all that much. So that's really not something I really want to use. Alright, let me make sure I'm out of creative. I am. Because I went into creative to build that so I can show it. That's why we have to use connector here. But what I need to do is I need to go ahead and change the strength on that connector to be 0, but I can't get to the access. So let's go ahead and extend the piston so I could get to the access, so I could change that. I also need to go ahead and get that connector named. I need to get that merge block there named, that connector, this piston, and everything else we're going to be using here in a second. Alright, so go to control panel, go all the way down, and we're going to change the strength to disable. So now there is no magnetic pull. And then while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and name this... shit, I don't even know. Let's call it the TBM. And we'll just do that for everything else. Alright, now that we have that, let's just go ahead and reverse it. Because now what we need to do is we need to place... Well, I think the next thing we need to place is the welder. Because the welder is going to weld the blocks right in front of that connector. There we go. So let's grab ourselves a welder. We'll put it right on the end, make sure the access point is connected, because we're going to be we're going to be getting components from the assemblers, which I'm going to try to put back here. Another thing we might want to try to do is on the piston, let's add shear inertia tensor, making that piston just a little bit stronger. Alright, let's see if we can weld up that welder real quick. Just to double check, make sure we have the access point. So yeah, the welders, or the refineries and assemblers, are going to be back here. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet. We're going to have to figure that one out. Alright, so here's the thing. With the hole, the next thing we need to set up is the drills. Now, the hole that I want to dig, I want it to be a perfect circle. Just for aesthetics, so I can figure other things out. But in order to get a perfect circle, we're going to have to set the drills up on a rotor. Which I'm not too keen on, because like I said, I don't really trust rotors, but I don't think we have much of a choice. So to pass resources from the stone that's going to be in the drills to the refinery and the assemblers, we're going to have to use an advanced rotor. Because a regular rotor does not have does not have conveyor access. Alright, so there we go. Let's go ahead and get that welded up. I'll probably need some more large steel tube. Nope, steel plate. Alright, let's grab that real quick. There we go. Alright, so far I think we're good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and place one drill for right now, because I still need to figure other things out. We still have to figure out the max distance for the piston. So drill is gonna go right there. So beforehand I made sure that I got all the resources I needed for a drill. But it's gonna take me a little while to get all the drills made. Because altogether we need like 17 drills for this to work. Now, the thing is, one thing I try to tell people is the more drills you have, the faster it will drill through voxels. But I also don't want this thing to be extremely heavy with the drills full of stone. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to figure that one out. We also have to figure out the speed for the piston. Alright, so the next setup we're going to need is we need to figure out the max length for that piston. And the way we figure that out is to figure out where that connector is going to connect next, which I think should be, if we put a merge block here, and then a connector here, that right there should be the length that we need in order to get that connector to connect there. That's the max length. Now the thing is how am I going to get that set up? I'm going to have to figure that one out. So I probably could go ahead and get rid of... if I get rid of all this, it'd be easier to figure that out. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that real quick. It's going to take me just a minute. Alright, there we go. So what we need to do is we need to put up a barrier or a block for that piston. So the connector and that conveyor junction is going to touch this block right here. And that will be the max length, or what is it called? Max distance. So let's go ahead and reverse. Now I think that should be 2.9. If you try to figure it out in your head, each block is 2.5 meters. So I think it should be 9.8. We'll see. So the piston did go forward just a little bit. Let's see what we got. So it went all the way to 10, but the piston continued to extend because we have the max impulse turned up, which gave it a little bit more power. So I am pretty sure if we set the max distance to 9.8, that should be good. So let's go ahead and reverse it back to 9.8 and then reverse and see what happens. Let's get rid of... Oh, you're kind of... 9.8 is a little bit too far back. Let's try 9.9 maybe. So max distance 9.9. Now it's very important that we try to line this up exactly, because the next thing that has to happen is that merge block has to match up with that merge block. So let's go ahead and get rid of these blocks. It looks like 9.9 was the right way to go. And it is, it's a little bit too far. Let's go back. Let's try 9. Max distance, let's try 9.85. 9.85. Alright, reverse and reverse again. Alright, now let's see where we're at. 9.85 seems to be it. Perfect. Alright, let's go ahead and reverse that piston. So now I need to get the welder, the rotor, and the drill back on. Let me go ahead and also build the other drills as well. This is going to take me a minute because it's going to take a lot of resources for those drills. Oh shit, we got a rust freighter. At some point I do want to capture one of those, and mining carriage. At some point I want to try to capture one of those as well. I need a fighter in order to do that though, because we will get attacked by drones, so I need some defense. At some point. So the mining carriage is going to be cargo for space, to transport cargo from one location to another in space. And then the mining carriage is going to be for that. And then the rust freighter is going to be transporting cargo from space to the planet. So yes, at some point we are going to go down to the planet. Somebody had asked that in the comments. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out speeds. We already have the distances set up for the piston, but I need to double check what speed we're going to need to rotate that rotor at. I have no idea what that's going to be. Let's try. It needs to be pretty quick, because as we're digging through the asteroid, it needs to dig out an entire circle. So it would be better if I added more drills, but that's something we're gonna have to check out later on. So let's go ahead and turn the braking torque up. About right there should be fine. And velocity, you know what, let's try 5 and see what that does. Alright, so that's the turning speed. Now on a planet, because we have gravity on a planet, this would actually shake the entire thing apart if we did it this quickly. But in space, since we don't have to worry about gravity, we might be okay. Also, just to make things a little bit more secure, let me find that rotor again real quick. So, advanced rotor, and let's go ahead and turn on share inertia tensor. Make it a little bit more stable. Alright, there we go. So what's going to happen is, while the rotor is rotating, the drills will be on. The piston will extend, digging those drills deeper into the asteroid. And it's going to extend until we get to the next connector. This end gets to the connector, which will be the second block, which is like right here. Then what will happen is the connector will lock, holding the front of this thing still while that merge block turns off, and then the piston retracts, moving the whole thing forward. So it's kind of like going up a ladder. You reach out for the next rung, you pull yourself up, then go to the next rung, pull yourself up. Now, of course, this is going to be a lot slower than climbing a ladder. Since we're doing it this way, it's going to be extremely slow. Now, I could add a little bit more speed by adding more drills. I keep trying to say it, the more drills you add, the faster you could dig through a voxel. We might have to do that. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and test it, but the thing is I dug too deep before, so it's not going to work out too well. So it's something we're going to have to test out as in practice, like trial and error, to figure it out. Alright, the next thing we need to set up is the projector, because we can't move this thing faster forward without something to, well, the ladder to climb onto, or the rungs to climb onto. So that's what the projector is for. It's to build those rungs. So if we build a projector right there, so as just like the ladder, the rungs are going to be the connectors and the merge blocks. But first thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and get all the merge blocks and everything named before we actually put this thing and run this thing to make sure it works. So it's not going to be done in this episode. Right now we're going to try to get the main structure done. So let me go ahead and weld up this projector. So the next thing I need to set up is the projection itself. Now this thing is only going to be moving about 3 blocks every single time it goes through a rotation. So it's going to go, this connector is going to go to the connector which should be there, because it'll be merge block, then connector, then armor block. So yeah, 3 blocks. So the connector will go past this block, you'll go past the merger to the connector. So that's all we need to do with the projection. So all we're going to need is, we need to start with a merge block. So rotate it that way. And then we're going to need ourselves the connector. So we'll bring that down real quick. And we need to make sure that it is connected, because as you can see, if we turn it this way, the connector will not connect. So we just need to turn it that way so it will actually snap. And then an armor block. That right there is our projection. So let's go ahead and go back to the merge block and hit Control B. I also need to make sure that I rename this thing so that way it shows up in the top. Let's just go ahead and name it 1 to make sure it's at the top of the list. Blueprint script with the name 1 already exists. What? Really? Where? Hold on. Let me go all the way to the top and see what script that is. Oh, it's this one. Alright, well, let's go ahead and rename it to 2. There we go. So now it's showing up as 2. So what I need to do now is I need to line that projection up to right in front of this block. And that's why we needed the merge block, because we needed the projection to be connected to this line right here, which wouldn't work if we used a rotor or a connector, because those would be subgrids. So let me go ahead, this might take me a second, and get this all lined up. Alright, there we go. So merge block, connector, and then an armor block. So I was having trouble telling the difference between the armor block and the merge block when they were not welded up. So I had to go ahead and weld it up so that way I could tell the difference. But I think we have it set up. So one thing you need to keep in mind with the projector, sometimes with updates they kind of get screwed up and you never know which way they work. And that's with reset. So what happens if you build that projection, it will turn that projection off. So what you have to do is go into the projector and hit keep projection. So that way it doesn't delete that projection once it's built. But another thing that might happen is once you move the entire contraption forward, that projection might not turn back on. It will turn off when you have the blocks welded up, but then it might not come back. So the best thing to do is go ahead and reset the projection. So when I set up the timers, I'm going to set it up to turn that projection off when we don't need it, and then turn it back on when we do. It's just a bug that happens sometimes, and it's a way around the bug. So it's not something you might have to do, but sometimes you will when the game does update. But as far as the mechanics of it, I think that's almost it. So the next thing we need to worry about is we need the components in order to build that projection. Now what you could do is, if you had this whole setup on conveyors, you could build like a little station back here with all the assemblers and refiners that you need, but we do not have that set up. So what I need to do is I need to figure out how to get the assemblers and the refineries on this contraption, which is actually pretty good because it would mean that this contraption is self-sufficient. So here's the issue that we got to figure out. These are the components that I'm going to need. So we need steel plate computer, large steel tube, motor, small steel tube. Did I already have that? Nope. Large steel tube, then small steel tube, and then of course steel plate. So these two are going to be the most difficult ones, which is steel construction, small motor, computer. Steel construction, small is not there, but we do have large. So steel construction, I need to figure out how many this is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the large steel tubes over here make 6. So the thing is, I could set the assembler to make each one of those items, but the best way to do it is to make sure that I don't run out of those components. So it's probably better to go ahead and set it up so you have one assembler for each component. That way you don't have to keep an eye on it. What you would do, let me go ahead and grab some power real quick. We'll get an assembler built so I can show you. So what you would do is you would build, you know what, let's do it this way. I think I know what might work. Let's grab an assembler real quick. And I think what I should do, I won't have access if I turn the assembler this way. So let's turn it this way so that way I have conveyor access in the back. I just need to make sure that I don't cover this part up right there, that merge block. So 1, 2, 3. I think that might work, maybe. All right, let's try another 3 over here. 1, 2, 3. And then what we need to do is we need to make sure that the assemblers are connected. So we need conveyor junctions, because I also do need to connect the basic refineries. So let's just put the basic refineries. We're going to use basic refineries because a regular refinery would be way too big. Then we just match the access point. Right. Yeah, let's keep all that open. So right here. I think 2 basic refineries should be enough. Now, the cool thing is, if we take a look at all the resources that we are going to need, let's go to an assembler that is actually finished. Alright, so that is assembler number 2, so let's come to, there we go. Go to production. The stuff that we're going to need is computers, which takes iron and silicon, which we both get from stone. Construction components need iron, which we could get from stone. Then I don't think we needed interior plates, but we could get that from stone as well. Large steel tube, we need iron, which we could get from stone. Motors is iron and nickel, which we can get from stone. Small steel tubes, which are iron, which we do get from stone. And then of course the steel plates, which is iron, which we do get from stone. So everything that I need to process, all the components that I need to process, I can get from the stone that we are digging out. So what's going to happen is the drills are going to pick up the stone, bring it to the refinery. The refinery is going to refine that stone into ingots, and the assemblers are going to use that to make the components, which are going to feed to the assembler. There's a lot to it, but I think it should work. So this is the basic construction once I get the assemblers and the refineries finished. The next thing we need to figure out is, well, we got the mechanics done, we got the projection done. The only thing really to figure out is the timers. So we're gonna have to wait for next episode. So yeah, next episode we'll go ahead and get the timers finished, get those all set up. That's gonna be difficult, but we should be able to figure it out. And then after that, we can go ahead and run the beast and see how it works out. Until then, make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.